Good evening. How are you? Welcome to Fighting for the Republic. Excuse me. Please join on Twitch, Periscope, DLive, and YouTube and Facebook.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you for the follower side. Oh, the lemon. Excuse me. How you doing? So much to get to. So much. It's been piling up and finally getting a chance to do some scoping. So we're gonna kick it off right here. Well, in California, we all know the wonderful Black Lives Matter shit on the streets of I think it was Los Angeles, was it? Where a couple had painted over it. Well, now they were getting charges on 2 misdemeanors, and one is a hate crime. So this is not really a bright idea, because one, that shouldn't be there in the first place. That is city property. It's not public. Well, I mean, it does belong to the public, but it doesn't belong to Black Lives Matter. And these people are just sick of looking at it. There's many people, including the black community, are sick of hearing about it. And them. They've had enough. So, in California, let's see, the district attorney has filed hate crime charges for painting over Black Lives Matter mural was backed by billionaire George Soros. Surprise, surprise. A California district attorney has charged a couple with a hate crime for painting over the Black Lives Matter mural was backed by liberal billionaire George Soros. Costa City, California. I'm not sure exactly where that is located. I'm not from Cal. District Attorney Donna Becken on Tuesday that Nicole Anderson and David Nelson, both white, they had to put that in there, of course, were being charged with 3 misdemeanors, including a violation of civil rights, hate crime charges, after they were caught on video painting the Black Lives Matter mural. Well, I suggest they just paint it rainbow colors. What the hell? Or is that a hate crime too? Or just paint it white. And if nobody has seen it, here it is.
Oh man, we got a Karen in the house. What's happening? What's happening, Karen? What's happening?
She is not a Karen. They're idiots. They don't even know what a Karen is. I wouldn't just be painting the lettering. I'd be just making big blotches.
That's her truck right there.
No one wants you here.
Oh, what the fuck did you just say?
Black Lives Matter here. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, what you want? Say that again?
I said no one wants Black Lives Matter here. That's what I said.
Oh, really?
All lives matter, you fucking punk.
To him, brother. Tell them. They have no right to claim that belongs to them or the damn street. They really don't. Let's see. Buchanan, excuse me if I mispronounce her name, justifies the hate crime charges in a statement saying we must address the root and byproduct of systematic racism in our country. The Black Lives Matter movement is an important civil rights cause that deserves all of our attention. The mural complete last weekend was a peaceful and powerful way of communicate and the importance of Black lives and Contra Costa County, and the country. We must continue the evident decision and actually listen to one another in the efforts of healing our country, community, and country. Well, when you do shit like this, you're not healing the country, you dipshit, because that is causing more problems than you're solving. If they want to talk about it, talk civil. That's all anybody has to do. And they don't know how to do it. They only know violence and hate. This is hate. There's no doubt about it. They hate our flag. They hate our statues. They hate our history. They think we owe them something, which none of us do. And if they want to continue, go to Africa, I'm telling you. Because go talk to them people who sold their own people to other countries for slavery. You want to piss and moan and try to change the dynamics of this country for your own benefit. Go talk to them. Seriously, every damn one of you, take boats, go to Africa, have a discussion with them about it. Let's see how they feel. I don't think you're going to like that answer. I really don't. Now, this has gone way out of hand. It's got to stop. I don't give a damn about Black Lives Matter because everybody matters. And I don't give a shit if you want to call it racist or not. Kiss my ass. Because every life matters. Not just the blacks, not just the whites, not just the Asian, not just the whatever. It doesn't matter. You think, you know what? My neighborhood, you know, it's not a very, hardly middle class. And one of the biggest houses, 5 people live in it, it's a black family. Does anybody bitch, piss, and moan about it? No. Maybe they all earned it. And it's fine. I'm cool with it. So anybody, and you notice anybody in Black Lives Matter, they're freaking white. You don't see very many blacks in Black Lives Matter. This has been hijacked. If you wanted a peaceful march, go listen to Martin Luther King. They are violent. It has become a radical leftist fringe group like Antifa, and they should be put on the terrorist list as well because they're intimidating and they're destroying, looting, stealing blacks and whites and whatever races in between going around. It's not just the blacks, it's the whites, it's everything else. There are peaceful parts of the movement, which is fine. They're not going to be violent. But the majority that has been put on TV and the media wants to continue to show are the violent ones. Now, they have been, obviously, in this French. Hey, David, how's it going, man? Yeah, hopefully your internet hangs in there. But when you have a movement like this, I mean, you're looking probably at the old style Black Panthers. Most of them were actually peaceful that I'm aware of. Honestly, I don't know the history of it, but what I do know, most of it was very peaceful. But today, it's a little bit different. Remember, in Pennsylvania, I can give you an example. During the 2016 election, they were outside with billy clubs, intimidating voters. Today's Black Panthers are just as bad. But for the people who were actually peaceful protesting, I'm okay with. And that's fine. You don't sit in the middle of the goddamn street. You don't destroy anything. If you get a permit, you do it lawfully. I have no problem with it. Speaking of voters, we have, funny how we are not seeing this on the mainstream media, which is very true, arrested in what county? I think this is in Pittsburgh? No, it was in Indiana. Indiana woman charged for mail-in voter fraud. 400 ballots, Democrat box pre-checked. They just don't learn. Your ass is off to jail, lady. I'm okay with that too. I am definitely fine with that. I have a lot to get through. I really do. 7 arrested face federal charges in rioting in Portland courthouse. It's about time they caught these some bitches. 7 people who've been arrested and face federal charges for their roles in the weekend riots at the Mark O. Hartford U.S. Courthouse in Portland. According to the courthouse documents, in May 26, 2020, protesters in downtown Portland have regularly been followed by nightly criminal activity, including assault and law officers, destruction of property, looting, arson, vandalism. Rowan Olson, 19. God, 19. I would take the belt to that kid's butt if I was his parent. I'm telling you, is charged with disorderly conduct, creating a hazard on federal property, failing to obey lawful orders. I can't even pronounce that name. 28 of Oceanside, California. Funny, they come from California and Portland, right? Is charged with destruction of federal property. Andrew Stevens, 24, in Oregon. Gretchen Margaret Blank, 29, of Seattle, Washington. Christopher Filani, 31, of Portland. Corey Porter, 28, of Portland. Tomini James Teo, 24, of Oregon, are charged with assault of federal officers. Hartford Federal Courthouse has been a repeated target for vandalism, sustaining extensive damage. U.S. Marshal Service deputies and officers of the Federal Protective Service, Homeland Security Investigation, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, working and protecting the courthouse, have been subject to threats, arsenal fireworks, including mortars, high intense laser targeting officers' eyes, throwing rocks, bottles, and balloons filled with paint from while performing their duties. On July 2nd through the 3rd, 2020, Olson is accused of using his body to punch on and hold a glass door at the Hartford Courthouse closed, preventing officers from extending the entering and exiting the building, and causing the door to shatter. While the door broke, the mortar fireworks entered the courthouse. Near the officers used shields and their bodies to block an open doorway. Apparently, approximately 6 hours until dispersed. On the 4th, Ohio, whatever, is accused of willfully destroying a closed-circuit video camera monitoring the exterior of the courthouse. On the 5th, Blank is accused of assaulting a federal officer and with a shield while officer was attempting to arrest another protester. On the 5th and 6th of 2020, Porter and Teo are accused of assaulting federal officers in high-intensity lasers at the time of his arrest. Falconer also proceeded a shattered... Oh, shit, machete. Holy shit. So, when I... Hey, Star. How you doing? Yes, they are domestic terrorists. Absolutely. Now, I've said this many times. That 19-year-old, he's like just screwed. He just screwed his entire life up. This is going to follow him forever. He's not going to get away with it. He can't get away from it. Excuse me. There's no way. So, I don't know where the hell his parents are. But again, I would take a belt to his ass and ground him forever. I don't care if he was 19 or not. He does. Yeah. Oh. And so they did catch some of them. There still are some that the feds are absolutely looking for. As AG Barr said, they're using the same tracking system as they would terrorists. Well, you're right, they're domestic terrorists, so there you go. They deserve to be treated as such. I think we're going to have to reopen Alcatraz and all that, refortify it, and put all these bitches in there. And we need to start like chumming up the water, if you know what I mean. General Flynn. General Flynn gets more documents from the DOJ exonerating him from knowing false statements, his lawyer says. I really like that lady, and I really hate these articles that do that, and I can't even read the damn thing. Sorry about that. I was not like this before. God, I really hate that. Okay, we're going to send in, I think it's time for the clowns. It is time for the clown. Now, I've been gloating about this all day. I really have. Let's see, he would know he's getting out of my house if he was my kid. Yes. Good point, David. Now, I have been so giddier than shit today. Because if you remember when and I'm going to still go off on this, because you don't know how much shit I took for not believing Kanye West. You know, when his single came out, Jesus, all I heard was praising him. Everything, he's found the Lord, he's done this, he's done that, he is a new man, all this, oh, he loves Trump. I knew it was a bunch of shit, and I got a lot of shit for saying it. Kanye West knows he is running for president. This is a fucking joke. It's a joke, because have you heard his party? It's the birthday party, I think he's calling it. He's a lunatic. He is totally nuts. It's unclear whether it's consult or with his friend Donald Trump, but rapper Kanye West announced he is ready to unseat the Republican president. No. He does not. He dumped the president. He's a total dick. We must now realize to promise the American by trusting God, unlawing our vision to build our future. West wrote on a tweet Saturday morning, I am running for president of the United States in 2020 vision. Well, you know what? I don't think he even can get on most of the ballots in the states. There's another bullshit thing that he's doing. It's not apparent how serious he is about running, but it seems unlikely the polarizing entertainer should actually upset Trump. He can't do it. It is possible, more likely, he could use a little publicity for an upcoming album, God's Country. Imagine that. Oh my gosh, an album. Well, imagine that. But Trump himself was a reality TV star, and former President Ronald Reagan, of course, made his name in Hollywood before acting and entertaining and entering politics. Yeah, but you know, it's different. It's so much different. Conway has been institutionalized. He's done drugs. He's a fruitcake. And I'm not afraid to say it. I have been like on cloud nine because I got ringed for hours. I still remember that about this. It's amazing. I said I could be a little skeptical. Maybe he could be seeing the light. You know, it's a possibility, but it was very, very obvious in some ways that this was wrong. And I even looked it up because it said he was actually going to try it for 2024. So he's a little bit early. And here's a good part about this whole damn thing. I love this. So it's all publicity stunt. I'm not saying if he was sane and he had good ideas, I would say, okay, well, there's a good possibility. But I seen it coming. Sorry. I'm going to probably upset the apple cart, but tough shit. I mean, I got to be honest. Conway talks contracting coronavirus, why he is wary of the vaccine and running the White House like Wakanda and the Black Panther. There's the good one right there. He's going to run it like the Black Panther movie. I think he's been watching too many movies, smoking a little something right there, right? Oh, he's going to have Elon Musk as NASA, the head chief director of NASA, too. He is so full of shit. You know, if people want to get upset about me about it, go ahead. I mean, I'm just gloating over it. Sorry, I can't help it. After all I've took for that. We have interesting. Now we know how crazy decisions Judge Roberts has been doing in the rulings, but this could explain a lot. Whistleblower. New Epstein tapes show top Supreme Court being blackmailed. Every early Tuesday morning, a whistleblower who allegedly worked for the federal court revealed a Supreme Court justice was seen in various Epstein tapes that were recently recovered by the investigators. One of the SCOTUS justices is in the Epstein tapes where recovered yesterday. I am sure You can guess which one. Is it old news? Well, it's kind of new news for me. I had to speculate for that one. He is on the log. The shocking part of the cannery is telling the feds a certain nation state has been blackmailing his gentleman since prior of his nomination of SCOTUS. What does this mean? The justice had handpicked the highest levels specifically just so he is beginning to control by blackmail. This is actually new for me. It was speculatory because he always overruled with Obamacare. He made a mandate a tax, which was still a mandate. It was still unconstitutional. He knew it. He's made a few other rulings that doesn't really coincide with a lot of things. Actually, this is dated. When is this dated anyway? This is July 8th, 2020. A lot of people may not know this. There's a lot of stuff people don't know yet. But Robert's name is on the flight log of Jeffrey Epstein. You're a researcher? You are a researcher, and I know some of this stuff too, Star, and it's good. We all got to keep everybody up to date and keep everybody on their toes. A lot of people haven't heard this, and as others said, you got to red pill people little by little. They can't take the whole enchilada, otherwise they're going to get overwhelmed and not understand what's actually going on. So that is a fact. He has been blackmailed. Try to get rid of some of these windows here. This was from July 7th. The DOJ and FBI claim they cannot provide documents related to the Seth Rich and Clinton emails until after the 2020 elections. I don't believe that. I personally do not believe that. You got the eyeball. Let's see. CIA involvement in the creation of the Russia hack and South Korean cover-up is now the focus of a group requesting the truth behind Trump-Russia collusion sham. In June 2016, Ellen Nabritskaham, whatever it is, a deep state favorite from the Washington Post, released a report from the Democratic National Committee that has been hacked by Russia, the firm that has validated this by CrowdStrike and the President Swan. Here, we all know all that story. We all know that story. But why are they covering up Director Wray is what I would like to know. WikiLeaks did release all the emails, yes. So they are just still delaying it. And the question is, I hope somebody like Congress will grill Director Wray and try to get to the bottom of this. Judicial Watch has been very good. They've been on this case. They've been getting a lot of subpoenas, records. They've been able to take people to court. They got Hillary Clinton now has to testify because of them. I think they need to keep going and continue to push. We, as the American people, need these answers. It's our right to know. And when we do know, we need the truth to be told. And people need to come to justice. Thank you for the lemon. Ray is deep state. Matt Couch too. Yeah, I really wanted to put a lot of faith into Ray. I didn't know him. I didn't know a lot about him, but yes, he was kind of a protege of Comey. But there's got to be some good guys in there. I'm sure there are. We just got to find them. And we got to have some whistleblowers in the FBI to bring this type of information out. And if Ray is involved in a cover-up, we need to know. That's serious business. That's national security. Fauci changes his tune. Now says second COVID-19 wave may never happen. No shit. Like we didn't know this already. And mask wearing is symbiotic. So Matt has been working on Sethridge for years. I did a special on Sethridge. I just didn't want nobody to forget. Yes, you're right, Star. He has been working on Sethridge case for many years, and it's very sad that his parents have not gotten any answers, or his family, and had let Seth rest in peace. These killers have got to be caught as well. That may be another thing Ray is covering up. It's hard to tell. Maybe he's being blackmailed. It's hard. You just don't know. People like us, we don't know. It's going to take a whistleblower to say enough is enough, to get to the bottom of all of this, because we all deserve. A lot of people have. Right. Exactly. I know, according to WikiLeaks, that Sethridge was the one who got the information, the emails and everything from the DNC. He was very unhappy the way they treated Bernie Sanders. And Hillary Clinton's probably pissed and had him capped. Now Julian Assange, thank God, is still alive. I'm hope he is talking about this, because he has offered a reward for the killers of Sethridge, which has not been handed out, unfortunately. But again, for people like Star and me and several 100,000 others, we do the research, we figure it out. We've done this for a long time. It's for the people who are not aware, have to do their own research and learn on your own for the truth. And it won't be, you'll be shocked, because there's still a lot y'all don't know. Still a lot we all don't know yet. We're still learning. This is not going to be an easy dig, but we're getting there. A lot's coming out. Let's see here. Dr. Fauci now says that the second wave of COVID-19 may not even happen, and wearing a mask is largely symbolic at this point. On Wednesday interview with CNN's newsroom, Fauci, member of the White House COVID-19 task force, I'm going to call it that for now, said that the second COVID-19 wave is not necessarily inevitable. I think this, we all, I don't want to keep explaining. Y'all got to do your own research. We have talked about the possibility of a second wave or an outbreak when we're reopening, Fauci explains, We don't have to accept that it is inevitable. Particularly, he continues, when people start talking about the fall. I want people to really appreciate that it could happen. It is not inevitable. Now, he said, I'm quoting Fauci, that there is going to be a second wave. He said that early on. But he also said that in 2017 about a pandemic. He didn't say exactly what, but he did say it. Now, doing the research that many of us do, he is connected with Bill Gates, who has money into pharmaceuticals, which is developing a vaccine. I highly would recommend not to take this vaccine. Bill Gates and his cronies do not have a good track record. Do your research. Try India. This is more of a way to, how do I want to say, track us, if you will. It's supposedly going to have microbes in it. They're going to know what the hell you're doing, where you're going. And that's not the way we want to live. It's not the American way and never will be. And I refuse to take this vaccine. I refuse to wear a mask. I only wear it only because of work, because I'm in a healthcare system. That's different. Anywhere else, they can shove their mask. I don't give a shit. I will not wear it. In fact, I was in a store today that it said you had to wear a mask. I just walked in. Nobody said anything to me or anything. And when I left, I go to their manager. I said, you know what? I really appreciate you. You didn't give me a lot of slack about wearing a mask. Thank you very much. And I left. I was really appreciated. I wasn't hounded. I did go into one store where they did. They said, well, you can't come in here without a mask. I said, bye. I'm gone. Get your business somewhere else. So this whole mask thing is the way to train us as a quote unquote new norm, which there is no new norm. These masks do not protect you. The regular masks, like surgeons, those are probably a little bit different, but that's for operating rooms. The masks that you see a lot going around don't protect you. All you're doing is breathing in carbon dioxide that you need to breathe out from your lungs, and you're not getting it out. So it's not only crap that this protects you from the coof, but it does harm yourself as well. My mom is one. She has COPD. She can't breathe with it, and some places do require you to have it. You're hurting people more than helping people. In fact, there's a tweet out there with an officer who doesn't wear a mask, and of course you got a Karen walking with the camera. Why aren't you wearing a mask? Well, because I can't breathe. Then you see people jogging. There's been reports of a person dying wearing a mask, killing over. So it's hurting us more than anything. Oh, UK Neil sent you? He is an awesome guy. He really is. Harvard and MIT sues over ICE demands that foreign students leave U.S. if courses are online only. That is not a bad idea. Harvard University and Massachusetts Institute of Technology are suing Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, over a new policy that would force foreign students to return home of the course that they are enrolled in entry online. For many students, returning to their home countries and participate, of course it jumps, let's see, I lost my place. Shoot. Sorry about that. I hate when it jumps. Okay. Students return to home countries and participate online. Instructions is impossible. In problematic, particularly, God dang it. Let's see. Expensive and dangerous. The lawsuit filed in district court in Boston Wednesday morning. ICE, that is those on F1 and M1 students' visas, would need to leave the U.S. or transfer to another college if their schools offer classes entirely online and they reopen in the fall. If they do not, it could face deportation proceedings. Potentially, screwed that up. An agency announced that the State Department would not issue visas, damn it, to students enrolling in a fall online program of U.S. Customs and Border Protection that would not allow them into the country. The lawsuit by Harvard and MIT seek a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction stopping the policy from being enforced. According to the Harvard Crimson, which first reported the lawsuit, the guidelines were released shortly after Harvard announced that it would house more than 40% of undergrads that would hold all classes online in the fall. I think that's a really good idea. Let's see. The law on the books for years. Yep. And it's time we enforce these laws. I mean, we do have students here who have, I'm not saying all, I don't want to hear anything, that there have been unlawful students here, spies, terrorists, not saying everybody, but if they can do this in their home country, they should be able to do it. Simple as that. David on D-Live, if you're not in the healthcare, then you shouldn't wear a mask unless you are sick. Correct. If you're sick, stay home. It's that easy. Keep your ass home. Now today, the president was in the Rose Garden with the president of Mexico, signing the USMCA. Trudeau was not present. And I will present that to you. And we're going to jump over. Oh, are you kidding me? Okay. Well, when it rains, it pours. I'll get it for you. I will find it for you, indeed. Let's see. Let's try that one. Well, I'll skip this one for now and go straight to Mike Pompeo.
This is a tomato. Think it's good for
Oh,
you?
shit.
Think
It's a
again.
tomato. Come on. There we go. Speed it up a little bit.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July, celebrating the founding of this great country. And a week from today, I'll be in Philadelphia talking about the work of the Unalienable Rights Commission. I'm looking forward to that. A belated happy birthday to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who celebrated his 85th birthday on Monday of this week. And a big welcome to Mexico's President López Obrador, who's in Washington today to celebrate the landmark USMCA trade deal coming into force alongside President Trump. I spoke with the foreign minister yesterday. I'm looking forward to seeing him here in just a little bit as well. I think we'll have a great set of meetings over at the White House later on today. On Monday, Egypt released U.S. citizen Mohammed Amashra, who had been detained since March of 2019. Mohammed is one of many Americans President Trump's administration has worked tirelessly to get back home. And we thank Egypt for securing his release and his repatriation. But at the same time, we urge Egyptian officials to stop unwarranted harassment of U.S. citizens and their families who will remain there. I want to start today with the Chinese Communist Party. As with all unelected communist regimes, Beijing fears its own people's free thinking more than any foreign foe. We were deeply troubled to learn this week that the CCP detained Xu Jianren for criticizing General Secretary Xi Jinping's repressive regime and the CCP's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic. He should be released. He was simply telling the truth. He should be released as soon as possible. I'll repeat a theme I've been talking about for months. The CCP has an enormous credibility problem. They failed to tell the world the truth about this virus. Now hundreds of thousands of people all across the world are dead. We need the truth. We still need the truth. We need to open up. We need to engage in a serious way with scientists around the world. They now say they're going to allow the WHO to come in. That's great, but the WHO needs to be free to do its real work. We need to make sure the right people are there to engage in this investigation, and we need real answers, not a perfunctory political solution. This is about science, not politics, and the Chinese Communist Party needs to come clean with the world about this virus. You know, Beijing claimed for months that it reported the outbreak of the virus to the WHO. Now we know that's not true too. We know that the WHO's country office in China reported the outbreak only after it picked up a media statement from the Wuhan Municipal Health Commission. Again, Beijing described Xinjiang's internment camps as vocational training camps. New reports of forced abortions and sterilizations add to a body of evidence that contradicts that. And Beijing said that for 50 years, they'd give the people of Hong Kong a high degree of autonomy. And you all have seen what's happened after only 23 years. Empty promises made to the people of Hong Kong and to the world. I want to give kudos to Google, Facebook, and Twitter for refusing to surrender user data to the Hong Kong government. Other companies should follow them and do the same. And a shout out to our Canadian friends as well. Canada has been strong in its response to Beijing's crackdown. We think that's the right course for the entire world to take. We're heartened to see, too, the United Kingdom have their vigorous debate now on the risk presented to the British people from Huawei technology being in their systems. As FBI Director Wray said yesterday, Huawei is, quote, a serial intellectual property thief with a pattern and practice of disregarding both the rule of law and the rights of its victims. I commend to you Director Wray's entire speech yesterday. It is worth the time to watch. Lieutenant General Barr will deliver a set of remarks in the coming days, and then I'll give what will be the fourth in a series of remarks. I want to direct everyone also to a letter that Undersecretary Keith Kroc drafted to CEO, boards of directors, trade groups, commercial and investment firms, alerting them to the CCP's use of slave labor in Xinjiang and providing them with a set of governance recommendations for how they should ensure that they are not part and parcel of this terrible practice. The last China item. The CCP recently filed a boundary dispute with Bhutan at a meeting of the Global Environmental Facility. From the mountain ranges of the Himalayas to the waters of Vietnam's exclusive zone to the Senkaku Islands and beyond, Beijing has a pattern of instigating territorial disputes. The world shouldn't allow this bullying to take place, nor should it permit it to continue. To the Middle East. On Monday, Iraq tragically lost a patriot, prominent scholar and journalist when Hisham al-Hashimi was brutally assassinated in front of his home in Baghdad. Dr. Hashimi had devoted his life to a free and sovereign Iraq and gave voice to the aspirations of the Iraqi people. In the days leading up to his death, he was repeatedly threatened by Iran-backed armed groups, and the United States joins partner nations in strongly condemning his assassination and call for the government of Iraq to bring to justice the perpetrators of this terrible crime and bring them swiftly to justice. In Syria, the actions of the Assad regime, Russia, and China to constrict the flow of life-saving supplies, medicine, and food have exacerbated an already terrible humanitarian situation on the ground. Just yesterday, Russia and China once again vetoed action at the UN Security Council that would have maintained humanitarian access to desperate Syrian communities. Over the last several months, Russia and the People's Republic of China have repeatedly abused their veto powers in the Council to support the Assad regime's strategy of starving its own people. Their calculus is clear. They believe there's no price to pay for their actions to the Security Council. They believe their partnership with the Assad regime will render political and economic benefits that outweigh any cost of conscience or moral obligation. It's our job, the responsible nations of the world, to increase those costs, document the human impact of these decisions, and use this example to remind the world of what these two regimes stand for. I also want to address the deteriorating and immobile oil storage vessel, the Saphir, that's floating off in the Red Sea. Some of you will remember, I've spoken about this before, I think. The tanker contains 4 times the oil spilled in the Exxon Valdez disaster. If it ruptures, it will devastate the Red Sea ecosystem and disrupt key shipping lanes in the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb. A disaster like that could prevent desperately needed food aid from reaching a Yemeni population already in terrible, dire conditions. The Houthis have blocked UN officials who need to board the vessel and in order that they may do the work necessary to prevent massive environmental damage throughout the region. The Houthis must grant access before this ticking time bomb explodes. And speaking of the Houthis and bombs, last week, a United Nations report confirmed that the weapon shipments the United States interdicted back in November of 2019 and then again in February of this year were of Iranian origin. You'll recall that when we said that, the Iranians denied it. The UN has now confirmed this.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Today, President Trump welcomed to the White House President Lopez Obrador of Mexico. The meeting reaffirmed the incredibly strong ties between President Obrador and President Trump. The leaders noted that many people have bet against their...
Okay. Sorry about that. Something just kind of went on its own. There we go.
On June 28th, U.S. and partner forces interdicted a vessel off the coast of Yemen with illicit cargo, including 200 RPGs, more than 1,700 AK rifles, 21 surface-to-air and land attack missiles, several anti-tank missiles, and other advanced weapons and missiles. The Security Council must extend the arms embargo on Iran to prevent further conflict in the region, No serious person can possibly believe Iran would use any weapon it receives for peaceful ends. Contrast the Islamic Republic of Iran's illegal gun running with America's work to help our allies and partners defend themselves. On Monday, we notified Congress of $7.5 billion worth of defense sales, from new rotorcraft capabilities for countries like Lithuania and Indonesia, to new ISR platforms for NATO ally France, to increased infantry mobility in the Stryker platform for Argentina. The United States is meeting the high demand for our allies and partners for American gear to defend their nations. We're strengthening our security partnerships, building capacity, and supporting the American manufacturing base. And now turning to Africa, we're making progress in helping Sudan's transition to a more democratic and peaceful way of life. At the Sudan Partnership Conference back on June 25th, the United States announced it will provide $356.2 million to support the Sudan democratic transition, including more than $85 million in development and COVID-19 assistance. Finally, I'll close here. As one of our expanding security relationship with the Republic of Cyprus, for the first time, the Department of State intends to provide international military education and training funding to that country, contingent on congressional appropriations and our notification of Congress. This is part of our efforts to enhance relationships with key regional partners to promote stability in the Eastern Mediterranean. Happy to take some questions.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary.
Nadia,
You opposed the release of Mr. Qasim Tajuddin, although you said that you abide by the court decision. Does this hinder your effort to go after high target financier of Hezbollah like Mr. Tajuddin? And what does it say to the people who oppose Hezbollah and the people who are trying to support them financially? And in that regard, for the first time we hear Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of the group, yesterday saying that he welcomes U.S. assistance to the Lebanese government. Do you see that, although he said U.S. is an enemy, but do you see this as a way of trying to open some kind of dialogue with the U.S., considering that they released this person, Mr. Tajuddin?
Yeah. So we do everything we can to enforce the sanctions that we have put in place against terrorist figures, including those who have been designated under the Hezbollah designations. We've urged other countries to designate Hezbollah a terrorist organization as well. We continue to believe that they present an enormous risk, and their behavior indicates that they are, in fact, a terrorist organization that is intent on causing harm to the West, and most in particular to our partner and ally in the region, Israel. Second, I didn't see the remarks that you described from Nasrallah. I did see him say that they should take Iranian oil. That I saw. That would be unacceptable for them to do that. It would be a sanctioned product for sure, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that Iran cannot continue to sell crude oil anywhere, including to Hezbollah in the region, so that that the resources that fund and underwrite the world's largest state-sponsored terror won't be made available to them because they were able to sell some crude oil product or some petroleum product to Hezbollah.
Sorry, quickly. But many people will see the release of Mr. Tajuddin as a victory for Hezbollah, and they might be using it as that. And this is why he said we welcome any U.S. assistance and we don't mind it.
Yeah, there can be no mistake what the United States has done and will continue to do to put pressure on Hezbollah, and also to try and assist the people of Lebanon at building out a successful government. The other component here, of course, is Lebanon's incredible struggle to conduct the reforms that are necessary to make sure that the Lebanese people who have been protesting in the streets, simply demanding a government that's not corrupt, that is engaged in behavior that benefits the Lebanese people, that's our mission set. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization, and we are supportive of Lebanon as long as they get the reforms right, and they are not a proxy state for Iran in Lebanon. It would be a very bad thing for the people throughout Lebanon, and we hope that doesn't happen in Beirut. Hey.
WHO and Iran, if I could.
Sure, give it a shot.
U.S. law mandates that the administration follow through on the financial pledges to the WHO before the withdrawal next year. Can you tell us how much the U.S. has paid of that, and whether you intend to follow through on the commitments? And Iran, what's the message Iranian leaders should draw from the explosion at Natanz? Do you believe it was accidental or deliberate?
I'm not going to talk about the second question. With respect to the first one, We provided notice yesterday to Capitol Hill of our intent to withdraw from the World Health Organization, something we had talked about. We had communicated to Congress even in the informal process that this was our intention. The President, we formally did that from the State Department yesterday, consistent with the President's guidance. We will work with Congress with respect to the appropriated funds. We'll get it right. But the President's made very clear, we are not going to underwrite an organization that has historically been incompetent and not performed its fundamental function. There's a real focus on the failures that took place around Wuhan and the World Health Organization's fundamental inability to perform its basic core mission of preventing a global pandemic spread. But don't forget the history. This is an institution that got it wrong on SARS, it got it wrong on Ebola. The United States had to create its own system, PEPFAR, to do the work to prevent and come up with solutions to the HIV/AIDS problem. We did that. The United States did that. The World Health Organization has a long history of corruption and politicization. And it's not that it doesn't get some pieces of their program right. That's certainly true. But on balance, this organization has not been able to deliver on its core mission for decades. We tried, Nick, desperately. And we, in fact, got some reforms through back a handful of years ago. But the WHO leadership clearly has been able to execute and implement them in a way that can prevent the kind of global pandemic that has destroyed hundreds of thousands of lives and cost the global economy trillions and trillions of dollars. That is not an organization that the administration has any intention of underwriting.
Do you think President Jair Bolsonaro should change his approach to the virus now that he has tested positive? And also, when will U.S. allow people who are traveling from Brazil to enter the country? Is there a number of cases or deaths that Brazil needs to reach in order to that?
So President Bolsonaro is perfectly capable of making his own decision about how to proceed with the health situation in his own country. I spoke with the Foreign Minister Rajo yesterday about that and many other things with respect to our relationship. They're a great partner and friend of ours. As for when we can get travel back open between our two countries, the relationship with Brazil is no different than any other country. We are putting in place a set of metrics that will determine when it's appropriate and safe for the American people to allow travel to come from other countries. We'll evaluate each country separately and make informed decisions based on science and reason, not politics. We're going to get this right. We're going to make sure that we do everything we can to get our economy back open just as quickly as we can. We have a big team here at State, a big team at Department of Transportation, at DHS, Vice President's Task Force, all looking at this challenge. We want to get international travel back up and going just as quickly as we can. That includes with our great friends in South America, including Brazil.
Christian? Thanks. Secretary, a couple of questions. First, on COVID, curious if we could get some updates on the negotiations to end the travel restrictions with the European Union. And then secondly, you said yesterday the administration is looking at banning TikTok. I'm curious how serious this ban consideration is. India banned it almost overnight with very little thought. And how soon can we expect that to go into effect?
So with respect to the conversations with the EU, we've actually made some progress thinking about how to do that. So it's unlikely to be the case that it'll be on and off. That is, we will attempt to put in some procedures and protocols that protect both citizens here in the United States from the spread, and it's a global challenge, and we want to make sure that European citizens aren't impacted adversely by travel from the West as well. Lots of people not only come from America, but transit through America to Europe, so you've got to deal with all the complexity that comes with it. But we've made some real progress, technical progress, and now we need to draw that to a conclusion, and then there'll be a system to monitor and measure to make sure that we get the timing right and we get the toggle switches right. Both sides of the Atlantic want to get this back open. Both sides understand that our economies depend on it. The deep, important transatlantic relationship matters. These are two Western democracies that have a lot of good work to do together, and getting those travel nodes hooked back up and connected again is an important thing. With respect to TikTok, I want to put it in the broader context. We have been engaged in a constant evaluation about ensuring that we protect the privacy of American citizens and their information as it transits. So this doesn't relate to any one particular business or company, but rather to American national security. And we are striving to get that light. The comments that I made about a particular company earlier this week fall in the context of us evaluating the threat from the Chinese Communist Party. We've talked about it in the context of ZTE, we've talked about it in the context of Huawei, and we are now evaluating each instance where we believe that U.S. citizens' data that they have on their phones or in their system or in their healthcare records, we want to make sure that the Chinese Communist Party doesn't have a way to easily access that. And so what you'll see the administration do is take actions that preserve and protect that information and deny the Chinese Communist Party access to the private information that belongs to Americans. We have it's a big project because we've got partners all around the world where infrastructure crosses Chinese technology and then comes to the United States. So one should think about this as a project of real scale and real importance. We must get this right. The infrastructure of this next 100 years must be a communications infrastructure that's based on a Western ideal of private property and protection of private citizens' information in a transparent way. That is not the model that Chinese Communist Party software and hardware companies are engaged in. You look like you got a great question, just all over your face. I can just see it.
I try to bring some Midwest optimism.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Me too.
Yeah, good. So, disparate countries from Taiwan to Germany have managed to flatten the curve, but the U.S. has the highest number of cases of COVID in the world. Do you still believe the U.S. is a world leader on the pandemic? And just to put it directly, was the U.S. involved in any way in the Natanz explosion?
Take your first.
Any comments, Doug?
Yeah. Only pay for what you need with Liberty Mutual.
Doug, where are Lima's pants?
You'll have to ask Lima.
Oh, come on. Seriously?
It was about the third week into Kathy's weight loss battle where things really started to go downhill.
That kind of sucks.
Your first question. Of course the U.S. remains the world leader in the pandemic. It almost goes without saying. And there are multiple dimensions, and I've talked about each of them. Certainly the Vice President's task force talks about them as well. But whether that is the technical scientific solutions, both to how to stop the spread, whether that's therapeutics or vaccines, the world turns its eyes to the best scientists and researchers and practitioners of the sciences that will ultimately bring resolution to this problem. It's the United States that the world looks to. When it comes to countries, small countries, whether that's in Central Asia or in Africa, their eyes turn to the United States. It's not remotely close who's provided the most assistance to these nations to try and solve what are vexing problems in their countries with very little medical infrastructure. And so, yes, there is no doubt that the United States has been and will remain the world's leader when it comes to not only pandemic response, but global healthcare infrastructure systems and processes that take down the very risks that we described. It's good we have friends and partners in this too. The Western democracies, that model is the one that is most likely to prevail and prevent this kind of thing from happening again. What we found in China is the Chinese Communist Party was simply incapable. And you see it with the arrest that I referred to in my remarks. They're incapable of being transparent, of accepting criticism, of allowing reporters to ask them questions that they find uncomfortable, that elicit the truth and the facts. We still have significant questions about who patient zero was. We're now 6 months on at least from when this began. The Chinese Communist Party, that authoritarian model, simply can't prevent the kind of inquiry, or has to prevent that kind of inquiry because they're afraid. They're afraid that the truth will be something that will not shine a happy light on what took place. And so instead they chose to hide and obfuscate and deny basic truth, basic scientific truths about what took place. This is a fundamental and fatal flaw for authoritarian regimes, and it's why the Chinese Communist Party has to be held accountable. And your second question was about the explosion in Natanz. I don't have anything to add.
Israelis were involved?
I just don't have any comment. Thanks.
Victor, go ahead.
That the Mexican delegation has been clear that it wants to be only about coronavirus. But I'd like to know if we will put on the table issues like human rights or human trafficking with concerns, freedom of the press, for example. if I may, I'd like to know the status of the merit initiative and the need to upgrade or review the congressional anti-narcotics or security, especially after the attack on Mexican people.
Yeah. So it's the president's meeting. He'll put on the table precisely what he chooses to, and I'm sure President Obrador will do that as well. But I'm confident the meeting will talk about the full range of issues that we work on with the Mexican government. Certainly the economic issues. We want to talk about our border, how we make sure that we keep that border, that commercial traffic up and successful. Very important American supply chains, Canadian supply chains that you can see come into full force under the USMCA. We've got to make sure we get that right, and so I know they'll talk about that. I'm confident that the full range of issues. I'm sure we'll talk about issues that expand beyond bilateral as well. Things in the hemisphere, right? What's taking place in Venezuela today, challenges that we find to narcotics trafficking in both the Pacific and the Atlantic, places where Mexico can help. So I'm confident that the full range of issues you asked. You mentioned several others. I'm very confident that the discussion will be complete and comprehensive. I expect we'll have a good set of meetings with them today in the afternoon, and then again this evening at the working dinner as well. With that, I've got time for one more.
Lily, go ahead. Remarks about the physics pattern of instigating boundary dispute. You know what has happened with India, China's aggressive behavior against India in Leh and Ladakh. What is the situation? What is the assessment of the situation between India and China right now?
So I've spoken with Foreign Minister Jaishankar a number of times about this. The Chinese took incredibly aggressive action. The Indians have done their best to respond to that. I put this in the context of General Secretary Xi Jinping and his behavior throughout the region and indeed throughout the world. I don't think it's possible to look at that particular instance of Chinese Communist Party aggression in isolation. I think you need to put it in the larger context. When I was up here once before, we talked about the number of both maritime and boundaries disputes that the Chinese Communist Party has engaged in. I think it's unequaled any place else in the world. There aren't many neighbors that can satisfactorily say that they know where their sovereignty ends and that the Chinese Communist Party will respect that sovereignty. That's certainly true now for the people of Bhutan as well. This is what the world must come together to respond to. This increasing revisionist effort that the Chinese Communist Party is engaged in is something that President Trump has taken incredibly seriously. The United States hadn't done that in previous administrations. We respond to this in a way that we think is appropriate, and we have attempted to communicate to the Chinese leadership that we are serious about this. When I say we, it's not just the United States. We will start very shortly a dialogue with our EU friends on how we collectively can respond to this challenge from the Chinese Communist Party, and I am confident. I'm confident that I think what's happened with the spread of this virus from Wuhan, China, I think the world has seen the true colors of the Chinese Communist Party, and I am convinced more than ever that the free peoples of the world will come to understand the threat that's presented, not only internally inside of China, but importantly that the impact that General Secretary Xi has on the world is not good for free peoples and democracy-loving peoples, and the world will come together to respond to that in a way that is powerful and important and will preserve sovereign nations operating under the rule of law in the way that we have all come accustomed to and benefits people all across the world. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take off. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Tremendous pleasure to welcome everyone to the White House. My good friend, President Lopez Obrador of Mexico, had a very outstanding relationship. Mr. President, we're truly moved that you chose to make your first foreign visit since taking office, very successfully taking office, I might add, to be with us at the White House. The relationship between the United States and Mexico has never been closer than it is right now. And as the President said a little while ago, people were betting against that. They were actually betting against that.
I will work on getting a better. I noticed the volume is very low, and I want y'all to be able to hear it. Let me. Yeah, it's Murphy's Law. That's all right. Let's see here. I will get something very quickly. Let's see. I hope you enjoyed and got a lot of information from Mike Pompeo. He just gives a lot of information, and it's really good that you see the press is finally behaving themselves instead of being a bunch of jackasses. Let me see. Let me punch this up real quick here. I would really like you to be able to hear what he has to say. There we go. Be right with you. This is the best I can do with volume. They all seem to be the same.
Had a very outstanding relationship. Mr. President, we're truly moved that you chose to make your first foreign visit since taking office, very successfully taking office, I might add, to be with us at the White House. The relationship between the United States and Mexico has never been closer than it is right now. And as the President said a little while ago, people were betting against that. They were actually betting against that. But it's never been stronger, never been closer. Tremendous job together. We're cherished friends, partners, and neighbors. Our cooperation is founded on mutual trust and mutual respect between the two of us and between our two countries. And we honor the great dignity of both nations. With this visit, President Lopez Obrador and I have...
Look, Limu! Hello, you've reached 911. I'm sorry that there's no one here to answer your emergency call.
Let's work on this a little bit. Sorry for the technical issues. I really want you to hear this. I'm trying to give you the best quality that I can find. This is a YouTube issue. It's not a me. So I'm trying to... Why they did not deal with the volume better is not my understanding.
To be with us at the White House.
A little better.
The relationship between the United States and Mexico has never been closer than it is right now. And as the President said a little while ago, people were betting against that. They were actually betting against that. But it's never been stronger, never been closer.
A little better.
The relationship between the United States. We're cherished friends, partners, and neighbors. Our cooperation is founded on mutual trust and mutual respect between the two of us and between our two countries. And we honor the great dignity of both nations. With this visit, President Lopez Obrador and I have the opportunity to strengthen the bond we have forged since his impressive election victory more than 2 years ago. A victory the Vice President and Ivanka joined in celebrating at the swearing-in. It was a very exciting day for them. Each of us was elected on the pledge to fight corruption, return power to the people, and put the interests of our countries first. And I do that, and you do that, Mr. President. The tradition of great respect between Mexican and American presidents goes back to the early days of both of our nations, and in particular it includes President Abraham Lincoln and President Benito Juarez, who each held one another in very, very high esteem. They were great friends and they did great things together, and we are grateful that this morning President Lopez Obrador laid a wreath at the memorials that stand to each of these leaders right here in our nation's capital. That was very beautiful. Beautiful ceremony. Our countries are linked by trade and travel, by history and culture, by faith and family. The United States is home to 36 million incredible Mexican-American citizens. Mexican-Americans uplift our communities and they strengthen our churches and enrich every feature of national life. They are hardworking, incredible people. They are also great businessmen and women, and make up a big percentage of our small business owners, and very successful. They're very, very successful. They're like you. They're tough negotiators and great business people, Mr. President. Working alongside President Lopez Obrador, We're taking this relationship to new heights and building a powerful economic and security partnership. Together, we have addressed many of the most complex issues facing our two countries that really went unresolved for many years and, frankly, far too long. Should have been resolved long before I got here. But we're achieving great strides and remarkable breakthroughs in strengthening our relationship for decades to come. With everything that we have accomplished, the potential for the future of the United States and Mexico is unlimited. Far, far greater situation really for both countries than anyone thought possible. Today we celebrate the historic victory we achieved together just days ago when NAFTA was officially terminated, one of the worst trade deals in history, and replaced with a brand new, beautiful USMCA. We want to thank Canada also. I spoke with and will be speaking to the Prime Minister in a little while. While NAFTA slashed wages and eliminated jobs, the USMCA includes groundbreaking labor protections for workers in both nations. This landmark agreement will bring countless jobs from overseas back to North America, and our countries will be very big beneficiaries. We are already seeing the fruits because it started. It's the largest, fairest, and most advanced trade deal ever reached by any country, and it will bring enormous prosperity to both American and Mexican workers and Canada. We want to thank everybody. We'll have a separate day with Canada. They're coming down at the appropriate time. But we want to congratulate Canada and the people of Canada, the Prime Minister. But this has been a tremendous achievement. It's actually the largest trade deal ever made. And we made a big one with China, too, but this is the largest trade deal ever made. Our two governments are also in close cooperation to stop the illicit cross-border flow of drugs and guns, cash and contraband, and very importantly, stopping human trafficking. We're forging critical partnerships across the Western Hemisphere to combat the cartels and the smugglers and to ensure safe, humane, and lawful migration. And we've been helped greatly by Mexico on creating record numbers in a positive sense on our southern border. It's been really very, very tight and done a great job. And I want to thank the Secretary who's here. We have Chad, you're here someplace. Where is Chad? What a good job you're doing, Chad. Great job. We're proud of you. And you've worked very closely with Mexico. I know you were just telling me what a great help they've been. Thank you very much, Chad. We've also worked closely in the battle against the coronavirus, together saving countless thousands of lives. It's been my honor to help Mexico procure 600 ventilators, and it's going to be a higher number than that. They needed them very badly, and we were able to make them. We're making thousands a week, and we're helping a lot of countries. But one of the first, and maybe the first that I spoke to, was Mexico. We have a lot of them in Mexico, saving a lot of lives. And Mr. President, we're in this fight together, and we're doing very well. Just a couple of things on that. I'm proud to further announce that the U.S. is by far number one in testing, number one in the world in testing, and that the mortality rate is the lowest, or just about the lowest, of any nation anywhere in the world. And we're safely reopening our country, and very importantly, we're safely reopening our schools. We want the schools to be open and going in the fall, and most of them, I think, are looking at it that way. It's very important. We're finding out that learning by computer is not as good as learning in the classroom or learning on the campus, and I think you're finding that too. We want to learn in the classroom, so our schools, we want them open in the fall. Following President Lopez Obrador's remarks, we'll sign a joint declaration committing ourselves to a shared future of prosperity, security, and harmony. This is truly a proud moment in history for both of our nations, Mexico and the United States. With the signing, we pledge the close and continued friendship between the United States and Mexico, and we accelerate our progress toward an even greater tomorrow, and that's what's happening, a greater, maybe even a far greater tomorrow. With a prospering region, a flourishing hemisphere, and two sovereign nations thriving, growing, and excelling side by side, working together, and that's what we've been doing. Mr. President, we look forward to hosting you for a beautiful dinner later on this evening with some of your friends from Mexico and some of our great friends from the U.S., and it's an honor to have you with us. And please, we'd love to have you say a few words. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Amigas, amigos, celebro este encuentro con usted, presidente Trump. Mi visita obedece en buena medida a la importancia que tiene, sobre todo en estos tiempos de crisis económica mundial, la entrada en vigor del Tratado de Libre Comercio entre México, Estados Unidos y Canadá. El haber conseguido este acuerdo representa un gran logro en beneficio de las tres naciones y de nuestros pueblos. Como es sabido, América del Norte es de las regiones económicas más importantes del planeta. No obstante, nuestra región es inexplicablemente deficitaria en términos comerciales. Exportamos al resto del mundo 3.579 billones de dólares, pero importamos 4.190 billones de dólares. Es decir, mantenemos un déficit de 611.000 millones de dólares, lo cual se traduce en fuga de divisas, menores oportunidades para las empresas y pérdida de fuentes de empleo. El nuevo tratado busca precisamente revertir este desequilibrio mediante una mayor integración de nuestras economías y mejoras en el funcionamiento de las cadenas productivas para recuperar la presencia económica que ha perdido América del Norte en las últimas 5 décadas. Baste señalar que en 1970 la región representó el 40.4% del Producto Mundial y ahora esta participación en la economía global ha bajado a 27.8%. Por ello, el tratado es una gran opción para producir, crear empleos y fomentar el comercio sin necesidad de ir tan lejos de nuestros hogares, ciudades, estados y naciones. En otras palabras, los volúmenes de importaciones que realizan nuestros países del resto del mundo pueden producirse en América del Norte con menores costos de transporte, con proveedores confiables para las empresas y con la utilización de fuerza de trabajo de la región. Desde luego, no se trata de cerrarnos al mundo, sino de aprovechar todas las ventajas que nos brinda la vecindad, así como la aplicación de una buena política de cooperación para el desarrollo. Este tratado permite atraer inversiones de otros lugares del hemisferio a nuestros países, siempre y cuando se cumpla con los principios de producir mercancías de elevado contenido regional y de procurar condiciones salariales y laborales justas para los trabajadores del país exportador o importador de bienes de consumo. Es también importante señalar que este acuerdo significa la integración. Los tres países aportamos capacidad productiva, mercados, tecnología, experiencia, mano de obra calificada y terminamos complementándonos. Por ejemplo, México tiene algo sumamente valioso para hacer efectiva y potenciar la integración económica y comercial de la región. Me refiero a su joven, creativa y responsable fuerza laboral. No olvidemos que la participación de los trabajadores en los procesos productivos es igual de importante que el papel de las empresas. De poco serviría tener capital y tecnología si no se cuenta con buenos obreros que se destaquen por su imaginación, su talento y su mística de trabajo. Además, con acuerdos como este y con respeto a nuestras soberanías, en vez de distanciarnos, estamos optando por marchar juntos hacia el porvenir. Es privilegiar el entendimiento, lo que nos une, y hacer a un lado las diferencias o resolverlas con diálogo y respeto mutuo. Ciertamente en la historia de nuestras relaciones hemos tenido desencuentros y hay agravios que todavía no se olvidan, pero también hemos podido establecer acuerdos tácitos o explícitos de cooperación y de convivencia. Por ejemplo, en los años 40 del siglo pasado, durante la Segunda Guerra Mundial, México ayudó a satisfacer la necesidad de Estados Unidos de materias primas y lo respaldó con mano de obra.
Sorry, this is in the video. As far as the translation goes, there's nothing I can do. It is glitches due to them.
De los trabajadores migrantes que fueron conocidos como braceros. Desde entonces y hasta la fecha hemos venido consolidando nuestras relaciones económicas y comerciales, así como nuestra peculiar convivencia, a veces de vecinos distantes y otras de amigos entrañables. También, como es sabido, la historia, la geopolítica, la vecindad y las circunstancias económicas de ambas naciones ha impulsado de manera natural un proceso de migración de mexicanas y mexicanos hacia Estados Unidos. Y se ha conformado aquí una comunidad de cerca de 38 millones de personas, incluyendo a los hijos de padres mexicanos. Se trata de una comunidad de gente buena y trabajadora que vino a ganarse la vida de manera honrada y que mucho ha aportado al desarrollo de esta gran nación. Asimismo, en México, más que en ningún otro país del mundo, viven y forman parte de nuestra sociedad 1,5 millones de estadounidenses, de modo que estamos unidos más que por la proximidad geográfica, por diversos vínculos económicos, comerciales, sociales, culturales y de amistad. Presidente Trump, como en los mejores tiempos de nuestras relaciones políticas, durante mi mandato como presidente de México, en vez de agravios hacia mi persona y lo que estimo más importante hacia mi país, hemos recibido de usted comprensión y respeto. Algunos pensaban que nuestras diferencias ideológicas habrían de...
I'm only going to continue this because there are some people that can speak Spanish. I personally can barely hear the translator as well. Thank you, David, for the vote of confidence.
Llevarnos de manera inevitable al enfrentamiento. Afortunadamente, ese mal augurio no se cumplió y considero que hacia el futuro no habrá motivo ni necesidad de romper nuestras buenas relaciones políticas ni la amistad entre nuestros gobiernos. El mejor presidente que ha tenido México, Benito Juárez García, pudo, como usted lo mencionó, entenderse con el gran presidente republicano Abraham Lincoln. Recordemos que este gran líder histórico estadounidense, el impulsor de la abolición de la esclavitud, nunca reconoció al emperador Maximiliano impuesto en México con la intervención del poderoso ejército francés. No es casual que Juárez haya lamentado el asesinato de Lincoln diciendo: he sentido profundamente esta desgracia porque Lincoln, que con tanta constancia y decisión trabajaba por la completa libertad de sus semejantes, era digno de mejor suerte. Lo mismo sucedió con la espléndida relación que mantuvieron a pesar de las circunstancias difíciles el presidente demócrata Franklin Delano Roosevelt y nuestro presidente patriota, el general Lázaro Cárdenas del Río. En los días posteriores a la expropiación petrolera, en una carta el general Cárdenas reconoció el buen entendimiento bilateral de la siguiente manera: mi gobierno considera que la actitud asumida por los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica en el caso de la expropiación de las compañías petroleras viene a afirmar una vez más la soberanía de los pueblos de este continente que con tanto empeño ha venido sosteniendo el estadista del país más poderoso de América, el excelentísimo señor presidente Roosevelt. De modo que, guardadas todas las proporciones y en circunstancias sin duda distintas, la historia nos enseña que es posible entendernos sin prepotencias o extremismos. Ahora que decidí venir a este encuentro con usted, presidente Trump, en mi país se desató un buen debate sobre la conveniencia de este viaje. Yo decidí venir porque ya lo expresé, es muy importante la puesta en marcha del tratado, pero también quise estar aquí para agradecerle al pueblo de Estados Unidos, a su gobierno y a usted, presidente Trump, por ser cada vez más respetuosos con nuestros paisanos mexicanos. A usted, presidente Trump, le agradezco su comprensión y la ayuda que nos ha brindado en asuntos de comercio, petróleo, así como su apoyo personal para la adquisición de equipos médicos que necesitábamos con urgencia para tratar a nuestros enfermos del COVID-19. Pero lo que más aprecio es que usted nunca ha buscado imponernos nada que viole o vulnere nuestra soberanía. En vez de la doctrina Monroe, usted ha seguido, en nuestro caso, el sabio consejo del ilustre y prudente George Washington, quien advertía que las naciones no deben aprovecharse del infortunio de otros pueblos. Usted no ha pretendido tratarnos como colonia, sino que por el contrario, ha honrado nuestra condición de nación independiente. Por eso estoy aquí, para expresar al pueblo de Estados Unidos que su presidente se ha comportado hacia nosotros con gentileza y respeto. Nos ha tratado como lo que somos, un país y un pueblo digno, libre, democrático y soberano. Que viva la amistad de nuestras dos naciones. Que viva Estados Unidos de América. Que viva Canadá. Que viva nuestra América. Viva México. Viva México. Viva México.
That's fantastic. Beautiful, Joe. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Great job. Thank you. And we will now sign a very important document. Thank you.
Sit down, please. Thank you.
And that, my friends, is the beginning of the USMCA trade agreement.
All right, everybody, there you have it in the Rose Garden at the White House. I am being told that there is going to be a Kayleigh McEnany news conference at 4:30 Eastern. That's 1:30 Arizona time. So in about 20 minutes, you and I both know those news conferences are very...
They're getting very good, too. They're not being stupid questions as lately. But that is part of the new treaty between Mexico. Now it goes to Justin Trudeau, which the president says he will get to later. And one of the final stories, you have breaking news: Supreme Court backs Little Sisters of the Poor against Obamacare. Now, according to Obamacare, that there was a mandate that they had to provide, I believe, contraceptives. Little Sisters of the Poor said no, and it went to the Supreme Court. July 8th, 2020, the United States Supreme Court ruled 7-2 Wednesday in a decision siding with the Little Sisters of the Poor and their bid to stop forcing to distribute contraceptives drugs for their employees. Obama administration had first mandated the employers subsidize and provision of contraceptives, including drugs to their employees under the aspect of the ACA, better known as Obamacare. Little Sisters of the Poor, a Catholic institution that provides support to the elderly poor, refused to comply, and did other religious employers speaking years of litigation. November 2018. 2019, the Trump administration announced 2 final rules that protect Americans from being forced to subsidize abortion and government mandated health insurance plans that cover consensus objections on the base of sanctily headed religious beliefs, and another small businesses and nonprofit of non-religious moral objections. In January 2019, multiple federal judges granted injunctions to several liberal states that had challenged the Trump rule, preventing it from taking effect, according to religious liberty firm Beckett Fund and federal government administrations that it broke the law by trying to force the Little Sisters and others to provide contraception and health plans that violated their religious beliefs. The government issued the new ruling in October 2017. The product protected the religious implications of Little Sisters and others, despite the the state of California sued the federal government to eliminate the religious exemption. California and numerous contrived programs of its own and never filed suit over such longer secular expansions created by the Obama administrations that corporations such as Pepsi and Chevron. According to Beckett, the appeal of tens of millions of people of then the religious explanation. Also, the state has not identified a single person that has contractive coverage, but lost it because of the new rule. Man, I'm getting really tongue-tied there. Do apologize. I really appreciate all of you for hanging in there. I think Fox in the future and others better fix their audio with translation, because I personally would have liked to know what the president of Mexico had said. But before I go, I shall leave you with a couple of these.
Chuck Schumer only needs to flip 4 seats to win back the Senate majority.
For my caucus?
Well, you came to the right place.
Oh, good. It's been so hard to raise awareness for my caucus.
Hey, you got any experience, or what's up?
With my caucus?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have tons of experience with my caucus.
Good deal. So
Plus, I used to be a bartender.
All right, so are you willing to travel, or?
Oh, yeah. I love traveling.
Oh, yeah? You like traveling, huh?
Sure.
All right, have you traveled anywhere recently, or?
Well, I traveled to America.
Okay.
Then I went to the USA.
Wait a minute.
Then after that, I vacationed in the U.S.
What?
And then I went to the United States for a week.
Okay.
I'm going to D.C. next week.
Wait a minute, what?
I know, I'm always traveling.
All right, so what nationality are you?
I'm Afro-Latina.
Alrighty then. I am so happy with your funding the police.
Right? All they do is eat donuts.
I know. It's like when they pull you over, they always ask if you have like drugs or weapons in the car. I know. It's like, buy your own weapons and drugs, cop.
I know. It's like, seriously? Buy your own. Stop asking innocent people in their cars for weapons and drugs.
You need to stop asking for free stuff.
Right?
You know? It's like they're trick-or-treating or something.
Right, yeah. If these cops want to trick-or-treat, they need to do it on Valentine's Day, okay?
I can't wait till November.
What happens in November? Huh?
Joe Biden be elected president, and we can finally stop wearing these freaking masks.
But if we stop wearing the mask, we'll get sick.
Are you being serious right now?
Yes. You don't pay attention to science? I entered a science experiment contest once.
Alexandra, these masks are just part of our political plan, okay? Have you been paying attention?
Yes, I've been paying attention and masks save lives. My TV told me.
Oh my gosh.
Help! I need help!
What's wrong? How can I help you?
People are breaking into my house.
Okay, please, just stay calm. I'm sending over shots and prayers.
Oh, thank you. I feel so much better now. But they're still breaking into my house.
All right, do you have a major credit card?
Yes.
All right, so it's going to be $400 for police presence. Do you need us to bring any weapons?
Yeah, they have guns, so you should probably bring a weapon.
All right, so that would be an additional $200. We actually have a special going on right now. 2 weapons for the price of 1. Are you interested in that?
Yeah.
All right, so that's 2 weapons. Do you want 1 officer or 2?
Well, there's like 4 guys, so probably 2 or 3 officers, I guess.
Okay, that's gonna bring the price up just a little bit. All right, so we got 3 cops, 2 guns, and you will also be charged for your phone call. Will you be needing any pepper spray or tasers?
How much for the taser and pepper spray?
I'm glad you asked, because we actually have a special on that. Would you like to hear it? Ma'am? Ma'am, are you there? Oh, crap! We lost another one!
I don't wear comfortable shoes.
That's nice now. I got one more for you. Those are really good. Glad they got some new ones. Maybe not if it does not run. There we go. Thank you for joining. I do appreciate all of you. Wow, what a night. Just want to say, we don't need to hear that again. Okay, there we go. So I want to thank you all. Have a good night. God bless the president. God bless the vice president, military, law enforcement. Thank you very much. Doctors and nurses, Border Patrol, Coast Guard, and all of you. Please, let's get along. We got to live in the same country. There's no reason why we cannot live with one another peacefully. Stop the rioting. Get your head out straight. Remember, if you do stupid stuff, you're gonna pay the price. Like tearing down statues, that's 10 years. committing crimes that's going to follow you the rest of your life. So keep the straight and narrow. Let's get along. We're all in this together. And let's re-elect the president. And let's win the Senate for the Republicans and regain the House. Then we will really get this show rocking. And God bless you. Everybody have a great night. I appreciate all of you. In D-Live, I will open the chest, put some, and I'll start distributing. So everybody just do the best you can. Help each other out whenever possible. The elderly, the poor, your neighbors. It's always good to help somebody when they really need a hand. So let's wait for the chest. It's almost open. And I will see you next time. Sorry for the little glitches. It was not really my fault. Distribute there. There you go, David. You got him. Have a wonderful night.